What's up, friends? Welcome to SPDM TV. My name is Mike, part of the SPDM crew, and I watch a lot of TV. We talk about various TV topics, reviews, and general appreciation of TV past and new. You can follow me on Instagram, Threads, Serialized, and Blue Sky at MLHilty2452 to see what all I'm watching. This week, I'm going to talk about a show that I've just picked up the second season. We're 5 episodes in, probably 6 by the time that you hear this episode. That's the show Paradise, which is on Hulu slash Disney Plus, I suppose. Paradise is a show that I really wasn't that interested in watching, if I'm being perfectly honest, but I gave it a shot because I am, you know, somebody who is looking for any new TV shows to watch. And there was something about this that seemed intriguing about the mystery element when it comes to season 1 with the president who has died and they're investigating his death. So I gave it a shot. And this was a show that was like, oh dear Lord, this was not what I thought it was going to be, and I think I'm here for it. So, the premise of this is a Secret Service agent investigating the murder of a former president in a seemingly peaceful community. This was created by Dan Fogelman, who has also been responsible for ushering into our lives such shows as This Is Us and, well, mainly This Is Us. He was also an executive producer on such shows as Only Murders in the Building, Gallivant, and a bunch of other things as well. But Paradise stars Sterling K. Brown, Julianne Nicholson, James Marsden in the first season, Chris Marshall, and Matt Malloy, among others. So, season 1 tells or season let's start with season 2 actually. Season 2 starts off with a story about a random character that we had never met, which is Annie, who is played by Shailene Woodley, who, look, I like a lot of the stuff that Shailene Woodley has put out. I think she is a phenomenal actress, and I think she has kind of converted to being on more television shows as opposed to movies. She was going to be the next hot thing when she was in The Descendant. Like, the first thing I had seen her in was The Descendants, then she was in The Spectacular Now, then she was in Divergent and The Fault in Our Stars, and then she kind of dropped off a little bit after reasons, I guess. I don't know, but then she's kind of had a second coming on TV. She was amazing in Big Little Lies. She was also in Three Women as well. So lots of great stuff from Shailene Woodley, and we follow her as a survivor who is hiding out in Graceland in Memphis, and we kind of see a different side of what's going on in Paradise because this is telling the story of what happens on the surface. In one particular community in one particular part of the United States, knowing full well that this is a global catastrophe that has happened. So talking a lot about, the struggles that people have had as opposed to everybody in the bunker who is just sitting comfortably in the world. And I guess this is where I should give you a spoiler warning because I'm probably going to spoil the big twist for season 1, but I can't talk about the events of season 2 without at least spoiling what happens in season 1 and at least the big twist. I'm not going to tell you who killed the president or anything like that, but I will, or maybe he died of natural causes. I don't know. So we'll see. But the story of Annie as a character is a fascinating one to look at because it tells the story of what happens when hope is crushed, absolutely crushed by the world around her and everything that's going on. So she has spent so much of her time alone in this mansion, which I find unbelievable that more people wouldn't look at this mansion and be like, "Oh, this place has plenty of things that I need. That would be, a great place to hide out in the event of a global catastrophe." So, but then when she does encounter people again, she's very skeptical of them. She's very mistrusting, and she also meets a guy named Link. We find out pretty quick that Link is not his real name, but Link, who's played by Thomas Doherty, who you've seen him in such movies or TV shows. Oh, that's how I know him. He's Harry Hook from the Descendants movies. That I find absolutely hilarious that he is Harry Hook. Anyways, he is somebody who he's on a very clear mission. He wants to get to the bunker in Colorado. We don't know why quite yet, until we kind of can piece together some things. But he meets Annie, and they have kind of an interesting meet cute because they kind of hate each other at first, but then, they kind of endear themselves with one another. But what happens is that Annie and Link, they end up having sex, and then he leaves to go to Colorado, and she can't bear to leave the comfort of where she's at Graceland. She was a tour guide for here. She knows a lot about Elvis. If you know anything about Paradise, they do slow, sad acoustic versions of like hit songs, and they're laying it on pretty thick with the Elvis songs, which I am all here for. But we later find out that Annie is pregnant, and that is a fascinating look at what's going on in the world, and kind of just everything, the as bleak as everything can be, the hope that having a child can bring is definitely pretty high up there. So I enjoyed everything that is going on with Annie as a character. I am a little concerned that they made the choice that they did in the fourth episode of this, because I think that it was a choice. I don't necessarily agree with the choice, but I appreciate the swing nonetheless. So we'll see what happens. In addition to this, we have Xavier flying his planes. He's trying to figure out where his wife is. So I appreciate the fact that we're still looking to do this. I'm starting to get a little concerned that that storyline is not fulfilling enough yet, because we've also got a pretty big storyline that's happening in the bunker as well, where some things are afoot. We don't exactly know what's going on. Sinatra is awake again. Jane is still as crazy as ever. Oh, that fourth episode really throws you for a loop for everything that's going on. But there's a lot happening now on both the surface and in the bunker as well. And that's kind of one of the problems that you find with any of these post-apocalyptic shows, right? You've got the community that you've established and the one that you've been following at first, and then they continue to expand, and then it becomes a simple math problem where what are you going to focus your time on? Are you going to focus your time on the new community, or are you going to focus your time on everything that's going on in the community that we left behind? It's happened with The Walking Dead. It's happened with Silo. It kind of happening a little bit, like just ever so slightly with Fallout, but every post-apocalyptic show falls into this issue. I don't know how you solve it though, because if you don't expand what's going on in these worlds, it gets pretty boring pretty quick, because you just got to come up with like a new thing that, befalls this community, and then you have to venture out into the world. That is the nature of a post-apocalyptic world, right? Is that you have the comfort of your show and your comfort of your community, and we got to get out of our comfort zone somehow. So I am quite intrigued with where this is going, because the focus has shifted greatly on Xavier finding his wife Terry. And one of the things that I really liked about it is that they introduced the aspect in Atlanta where you kind of figure out what happened with the people in that community. And with a global disaster like this, I think that's one of the things that I really appreciate about this, is that it's showing all these like pockets of community where you see humanity evolving and humanity just continuing to blossom somehow. We haven't really dove too much into the pockets of humanity where it's like, man, the world sucks right now. And we see the people who are like truly taking advantage of the situation. In fact, the people that we're seeing take advantage of the situation more than anything is the people in the bunker. So I'm very curious to see where the rest of this season goes. But have you started watching the show Paradise yet? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think of season two. I will continue to talk about it and continue to, when the show ends, kind of talk through some things and see what we think. But that's going to do it for this episode of SPDM TV. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to anything and everything SPDM Crew wherever you get your podcast. Join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Blue Sky at SPDM Crew. Shout out to High Flyer Creative Studios for making an awesome logo. Greatly appreciate their support. And if you've got any marketing, logo, or brand standard needs, contact them at highflyercreative.com. Check out the other shows in our network. We've got a lot of great content, a lot of great stuff that people have been doing for the show, or for the network. So please check out the other shows on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And finally, if you've got a podcast idea or you're interested in being part of the SPDM Crew as a guest or collaborating, email us at spdmcrew@gmail.com. Until next time, happy watching, friends.